My name is Robert Kiyosaki. I'm best known for the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which was published in 1997, and it's now spread throughout the world. And it's a true story about my two dads, my rich dad and my poor dad. And it's an honor to be here in Africa because I love this country. I come here as often as I can. I was here twice last year. And it's a great emerging nation. It's a powerhouse. I think it's a role model for the world. But I also want to thank Wealthwise for having us as part of your program, because our job, both my wife and I, is to influence your minds, your brains, because this is your greatest asset you have, is your mind. So nice to be part of this program.
I'm Kim Kiyosaki, and very happy to be part of wealthwisemag.com. I'm the author of the book Rich Woman, and really excited to be speaking with you today and talking about what's happening in South Africa. And really want to encourage the women, really want to encourage the South African women to really start taking charge.
Well, number one is the world has changed. And if you're following the old rules, like my poor dad's school teacher rules, you're not going to make it. I look at the money as a game. You know, my rich dad started teaching me about money playing Monopoly. So I don't hold it as a game. So to me, money is like the game of rugby. I love rugby. And you got to play it to win. Most people, when they play the game of money, they play not to lose. They want job security and pensions and benefits. That's the middle class, you know. So the rich play to win, the middle class plays not to lose, and the poor have already lost. So really, the game of money is much like the game of rugby or tennis or soccer or whatever. You've got to play to win, because the world has changed, and in the next few years, there'll be a lot more people who will be losing the game of money. That's why I encourage you to listen to Wealthwise. The most important thing for wealth is your brain, is your education. Choose your teachers wisely. You know, don't listen to bad teachers or stupid teachers or poor teachers. You've got to be very careful. But Africa is no longer a poor nation because of this. This is the new teacher. This is the future. The Rich Dad Company is coming out with a whole line of online education, financial education for people who want to be rich. But you've got to want to play the game to win. Most school teachers are good people, but they don't play to win when it comes to money. They play not to lose. So the thing for the young people is this: you're no longer isolated. You're no longer in a poor nation. You're now part of the digital universe, and the world is up to you. You don't have to play by the old rules. Play by the new rules.
I think one of the most important things I've learned is that, number one, money has no gender. So I grew up being the youngest of three daughters, and I was always taught to go for my dreams. You know, it doesn't matter, man's world, woman's world, doesn't matter. I think money doesn't have a gender, and so for some reason, we women have not been educated about money. We've actually been taught to depend upon somebody else for our financial well-being, be it a husband, a partner, a family member. So one of the most important things I've learned is that, number one, money is not a gender thing. It doesn't matter if you're male, female, black, white, purple, it doesn't matter. The most important thing for women is to start understanding that as we get older, many of us, because we haven't been financially educated, are finding ourselves in major financial crises. So I would ask yourself, if you stop working today, how long can you survive? If your spouse or partner passed away, how long can you survive financially? And start looking at the facts behind your money. The statistics do not support women as we get older being financially strong at all. And the last thing I want to say is this about the women in South Africa especially. What the studies are finding now is that when there's a financial crisis in a family, it's oftentimes the woman that steps up and takes charge. And I know this is what's happening in the US right now, and I know the South African women are very strong women. And so before that crisis happens, or before there is a setback, start being prepared today, so for whatever happens in your financial life. I think that's most important. I was living in Honolulu. I graduated college in marketing. I was working in Honolulu in an advertising agency, and I would go to work and every day, and I was doing this for about a year, and I woke up one morning and I had this thought that I go to work, I get a paycheck, I pay my bills, I go to work, I get my paycheck, and I pay my bills, and I had this aha moment of, there's got to be more to life than this. And so that was kind of the inspiration where I started searching. And it was a few months later where I met Robert. And our very first date, he asked me, what do I want to do with my life? And I said, I want my own business. Because I also had been fired twice from my first job out of college. I wasn't a very good employee. I was not very good at that. So I said, I want my own business. And he said, well, I've started several, I can help you with that. And about 2 months later, I was off and running with my first business. But the other question that he asked me, he said, what's your life's purpose? And that was really what I was searching for at that time, because I knew there was more to life than just earning a living. And so that I had been searching for this, actually started when I was 18 years old, kind of looking for what's the meaning of life. And so I found a partner who was on the same search as I was. And so really one of my great inspirations, and I don't want this to go to your head, but was really Robert, because he was going down a very similar path and we were able to do this together. So that was huge. Another source of inspiration was actually kind of a negative inspiration. When I was in my early 20s, my father was 50 years old and he got fired. He was in the executive wing of this company and he got fired at 50. And I realized how I got so angry and so furious at this person who fired him and at this company, because he'd worked so hard and he was really a good man and honest man and hardworking man, that it was at that moment too I decided, and I was early 20s, that I was never going to have that happen to me. And I was never going to let somebody else control my financial life. And I was never going to work for somebody and have to do what somebody else told me what to do with my life. So that was a very big turning point in my life. I was about 22 at the time.